Hey everyone, you're listening to WUSB Stony Brook. I'm here live at the Stereo Garden with two of the members of Neck Deep. They're playing here tonight, headlining. They're playing with Waster, Trophy Eyes. How about you guys introduce yourselves and maybe share a bit about the band for people who may not know you?
My name is Ben and I sing in Neck Deep.
And I'm West and I play guitar in Neck Deep, and I'm going to hand it over to Ben to talk about the band.
So we started in 2012. We put out an EP called Rain in July, and things took off pretty quickly for us, and since then we've been a band for nearly 7 years, and we have 2 EPs and 3 albums out, and basically been non-stop touring for the last 6 years pretty much.
We're going to talk about that soon.
Cool.
So last time I talked to you was about like a year and a half. You guys played the 2017 Vans Warped Tour, and that was before the Piece in the Pan came out. So me and Ben talked about kind of the pressures of going into that record and the whole writing process. And I think altogether it came out very well and ended up being in the top 10 charts.
Yeah.
So what was it like to make that and kind of complete that achievement as an artist?
Yeah, it was great. I think our aim, because Life's Not to Get You managed to chart in the UK. I think it got to number 8 in the UK, and so we were just hoping for anything similar to that, basically. Just like, if we could get anywhere near that, then it would be a success. But we managed to outdo it, and we got to number 4 in the UK charts. Was it 2? I don't know.
4 UK.
4 in the overall charts, and then I think
2 in the US.
2 in the US. That's right. Yeah. So we did even better than the last record, and yeah, as an artist, that kind of success is sick, because all your hard work that's confirmation that your hard work has paid off. So it's sick.
Why do you think why it was so successful? Why do you think people were buying into this record?
In Bloom.
Yeah, one
Literally
song.
In Bloom.
One
No.
good song. No. I think it was just a good natural progression for us as a band. I think it was what people were kind of not necessarily what they were expecting, but what they were hoping for. We didn't stray too far away from what makes Neck Deep, but we also kind of wandered into new territory with a few songs, and I think overall the record is so varied. It has like this real it does kind of take you on this ride. You have like pop punk songs on there, you have like heavy songs on there, you have like really sad songs, you have acoustic songs, you have kind of everything on there, and I think it kind of just appealed to a lot of people. And when it comes down to it, I think as well, like sometimes there's all this beating around the bush of what makes a record great, and sometimes it's just like, oh yeah, it's just the songs were just good. We just wrote good songs and they came out well, and it was mixed really well and sounded good. So I think, yeah, just at its core, it was just a solid record with good songs and a good track listing, and yeah, it just flowed really well.
With this record, you've been touring it for the past year, and I'm going to throw out some stats so far that you shared on Facebook. So it was 71 shows, 89 days, 14 countries, over 100. By the end of the year, I counted, because with this tour, it adds another 29. So you're going to have 100 shows by the end of October.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think as well, like we did some shows in Europe and stuff as well, but that was just, those stats were just from the world tour, and that world tour was grueling, man. It was like, because once we did the US, like the US was sweet, like it was all good because we could just travel easily between shows, and you just fly into one day, then you travel, you fly out. Whereas then after that, we took off to like Asia, Brazil, Australia, and with all those kind of places, you repeat a process of like fly, hotel, show, airport, fly, and you just repeat that same process to over and over again. You're waking up every day at like 4 a.m. to go and catch a flight, and it gets grueling, man. And that's where like the real tour exhaustion can kick in. So yeah, we have absolutely slogged it on this record, man. We've done a lot of touring, played a lot of shows, and they've all been great, man. Like Brazil and Southeast Asia was some insane shows, man. Some really big shows for us, and we were happy that we could finally get out to some of those places. So it's all good. There's a silver lining to everything, despite being absolutely exhausted, and just being on the road for a little bit too long at one go. It was
we're not doing it again.
Yeah, we're not doing
Not that
again.
long.
Not that long. No, we definitely need
Absolutely not.
Well, we were saying on the tour, like if we had 2 weeks at home between you know, the US and the rest of the world, we would have been fine. But it was just the fact that we couldn't go home. We were living out of like a tiny bag. And
the mindset was like, let's just get it all done at the start of the year. And then we were halfway through it and we're like, this was an awful idea. Let's just spread it out next time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I actually talked to Brendan Murphy of Counterparts a couple of days ago, and they were talking about touring like Southeast Asia and those areas, and they kind of said the same thing. They kind of had that schedule of going to the plane. They have no time to actually rest.
Yeah.
No time to rest, no time to sightsee a lot of the time. Which it's cool that we get to go to these places, but I think the illusion a lot of the time is like, oh, you're going there, did you see this? It's like,
didn't have time.
No, it didn't
Sort
have
of
time.
venue in a hotel is pretty much what it goes down to.
The shows make up for it by miles. The shows are always insane. They're always like really, really good, and they're like all the fans there. It's like it's amazing, but it's just sometimes it's nice to have a couple of days either side of like the rush to go and just explore and like actually appreciate where you are sometimes, because it can blur all into one a lot of the time.
Yeah, sometimes you forget like which show was that? What show are we talking about? You know, and it was you know, it can just be a big blur. But some of the shows were wild. We did like we did all of the shows in Southeast Asia, and I think most of the shows, if not all of them, in South America too, were no barrier. And in Asia, we had like one of the shows in the Philippines. It was like 1,200 kids, so like 1,200 people, no barrier. And I was one for being like, something could go wrong here, you know. But luckily it didn't. But that was wild, man, absolutely wild. And yeah, definitely a place that I think we enjoy going to, and we know that we can get good shows at. So yeah, despite how grueling it can be, it's definitely worth it to play the shows.
Absolutely.
How do you feel the fans in the different areas, say in like Asia or Europe, compared to the US?
I think the Southeast Asian fans and stuff, like they don't get as many bands coming through, so they get like they're really like excited to see you, which is great. Whereas the like people in the US, like they tend to be a bit more chill when you meet them, just because like we come through quite a lot, and like it's an attainable thing to like come see us, say hello and all that. Whereas like over there, I don't know the right word for it. I think
it's just they're just super grateful to have a band come over and play for them, because like Wes was saying, like it's attainable out here. You know, we're gonna probably tour the US maybe twice a year, and you know we'll probably tour the UK maybe once or twice a year too. So it's an attainable thing for people to just. It's expected, you know. People expect us to be out here, and so they're not like waiting and getting themselves hyped up as much as say like South America or like Southeast Asia, where you know we might only go once every 2 years or maybe even longer. It was our first time in South America, so it definitely gets. Fans are a lot more I don't know if intense is the right word, but definitely like it's a lot more fanatical out there, you know. It's a lot, you get a lot of those like Beatles moments out there, even though you know we're nowhere near that, and we come out here and we go around the UK and it's kind of like we can be a bit more chill. We'll get stopped in the streets and stuff and ask for photos, but like there it's like full on Beatlemania. Like you have to get rushed into a van at the end of the show because it's like everyone at the show is just like crowding.
It is wild. You can't like just go and get a coffee or go for a drink or food without like a security guard, which is just for us. It's just like, why are you so excited? Obviously, we get why they're so excited, but because we're just like, I like to think we're just pretty normal. So it's just strange for us when we walk. It's like, hi, this is strange.
And like, you've constantly got this guy walking with you, like. Big Marv, remember Big Marv?
Big Marv.
He would literally just never say a word. He was this absolute unit. He was huge, and he would just walk behind us at all times and just be constantly on the lookout and wouldn't ever say anything or do anything.
The only word he would say is when someone would come up to you, he'd just put his hand in front of him and go, no.
Yeah. And like we'd go out for food and stuff. We'd go out for food, and it would be like, you know, Marv is more than welcome to come and sit with us, but he was just like, no. He would like just be sat on a table like over the other side just watching. It was
we were just thinking, like, does Marv not eat?
Yeah. Like, does he ever eat? Does he ever talk?
Huge monster.
Yeah.
Oh, he was lovely though. He was really nice.
Yeah, he was
Big
cool.
Marv.
Big Marv. Shout out Big Marv. Yeah.
So I think one of the cool things of with the whole tour that you guys had for the past year was that one of the shows actually played on NBC, and I believe that was a California date. So what's it like as kind of an alternative artist to actually get the spotlight on TV?
Nerve-wracking, because obviously we're not used to doing stuff like that. So instantly when you hear like oh, there's going to be a film crew coming down to film you for TV, instantly the first thing in your head is don't mess up, don't mess up, don't mess up, don't mess up. This will literally be on TV and on the internet forever, so please don't ruin it. And we played quite well, luckily, that day. So I don't know. It's cool though. It's nice to get the exposure, because I imagine years and years ago, if we were a band, it would be a bit more commonplace. But nowadays, it's hard for like alternative bands to get anywhere mainstream media a lot of the time. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Like, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you know, you'd probably see Blink and Some Found Glory. I nearly said
Some
then.
Found Glory. What a band name that is.
Some Found 41.
Yeah.
So you'd have like, you know, tons of alternative bands on TV all the time. I think Slipknot played like Jimmy Fallon or something one time. Like they, you know, and no way would you get that these days. So to be able to have that push through Carson Daly was sick. Like, just to have that kind of confirmation on a mainstream level is, because it's something that doesn't happen very often. You know, you're more aware of how kind of lucky you are to have that. So,
So with all the touring, there must be some great stories. Do you guys want to share any crazy or funny situations you've been in?
On that last tour was pretty sketch. We got robbed in Argentina at gunpoint. Yeah, that was sketchy
fun.
as Yeah, we were walking through I think our sat nav, like Google Maps or whatever, like took us through like it's GPS, took us through like a kind of a sketchy area in Buenos Aires, and we were just walking and we saw these guys like kind of clock us, and we were like, we didn't really think too much of it, and then like 100 meters down the road they pull up next to us, guy jumps off the back, points a gun at us, and it's just like, give us all your and so we did, and that was kind of crazy, but yeah, I think that was definitely like the craziest tour experience we've had. I don't think there's any like...
Yeah, I don't think anything can really top that.
That was definitely a life experience. And they got both my passports as well. So I ended up having to stay in Argentina for an extra day with our tour manager and end up getting like new passports and an emergency passport and fly to Brazil like 24 hours after everyone else. And that was honestly one of the worst days of my life. I think I hated that day so much. So yeah, touring's not all glitz and glamour, guys. It's actually
some scary
very
situations.
much the opposite a lot of the time.
Aside from that, it's normally just me and you sitting down playing PlayStation until we're told to do something.
Pretty much.
It's very exciting.
Recently, you guys released a cover of Torn by Natalie Imbruglia. Hopefully I didn't murder that name.
You got it. Nailed it.
So this was for a charity compilation benefiting mental health and suicide. So how did you guys end up getting involved with this?
Well, it's a Hopeless Records. Our record label has a like a non-profit arm to its label called Subcity, and basically it's an initiative just set up by Subcity to promote mental health awareness and suicide prevention. And the aim, or kind of like the thing that is getting everyone involved, is they're offering $10,000 for someone to start up their own non-profit, basically, and that's kind of what they're trying to do. They're just trying to make people aware and try and get another a suicide prevention mental health non-profit. But they're trying to get the ball rolling with that. So obviously us being on the label, we were asked to pick a song to cover, and I think every band or a lot of bands on the label covered a song for it, and it just ended up being like this fun thing in the end for us, like where, I wouldn't say necessarily that song was like super pivotal to us in our lives, but I feel like it's got a good message to it. It's about being stuck in a point in your life where you just don't know what to do. You're being torn between maybe two different things, and I just think it suited our sound really well too. So anything that we can do where we can have a little bit of fun, and it's a chance to give our fans something new, because it's a little while since the record came out, so it's good to have something to tie them over. And also, if you can do it for a good cause at the same time, then it's a win-win, right? So it was basically just something cool for us to do that would put out good vibes to the world, man, and put something good out there. And
So it's with songs that saved your life. So it's kind of that kind of deal. That kind of plays into kind of music therapy and kind of like music kind of benefiting society. So what's your thoughts on kind of music for like rehab or just helping people through tough situations?
I mean, that's basically what our band is kind of built on now. Since Life's Not Out to Get You, that's absolutely been like like the cornerstone of our band, really, in terms of like, you know, once I wrote the lyrics for that record in like with like, you know, like you said, music is therapy in mind, really. Like, I'd met so many of our fans who were self-harming and giving me razor blades and telling me, you know, about the struggles they were having, and I was like, you know, I was pretty good with my life. I didn't really have an ex-girlfriend to complain too much about or anything like that. So I was like, I'm gonna write an album that I hope people can look at as kind of therapy and that will help them through a tough time. And I, you know, in terms of whether or not music is effective in that, I think it's absolutely, like, I think it's probably one of the most effective things, you know, like you can go and see a therapist and that's absolutely beneficial and totally amicable thing to do, and I recommend that if you really are struggling, you should absolutely try and get some professional help. But if you can have, you know, in that in between seeing someone or talking to a friend or something, and if someone on the other end of the speakers who you admire and look up to is giving you advice or giving you a new perspective to help you kind of understand yourself and your life a little bit better, then yeah, 100%, absolutely. I know for a fact myself personally, like when I've been through a rough time in my life, it's been music that has more often than not been the thing that's helped me through all that, whether it's sad music that's just telling me how I feel, or whether it's music that's giving me a new perspective. Yeah, absolutely, one of the most powerful things that you can have to overcome like you know, that kind of thing in your life. So yeah, totally valid form of therapy, I think. Yeah.
Before we talk a little bit about the record, how about you guys share maybe some of your hobbies? You guys play like any video games or anything?
Video game.
Fortnite or
no, not Fortnite.
No,
PUBG.
No,
I'm more into PUBG than I am Fortnite, but I don't really play it. Me and West are the gamers out of the thing. West more so. West used to work at the UK equivalent of GameStop.
Yeah, for like 5 years or something.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, so video games are definitely a hobby of ours.
Yeah. I'd almost borderline obsession.
Yeah.
Like, we've both bought these like silly like flight case things that have a screen built into them, so we can bring our PlayStations with us so we don't miss out on any games. So every day, first thing, it's like me going in dead early, not you because you're never up early, but I go in first thing, set it up, make sure I've got the prime position to play. Just finished Spider-Man the other day, that was sick.
And because I wake up late every day, I'm still downloading it, so there we go.
I finished it, downloaded it a week ago, and he still hasn't downloaded the game yet.
It's in the process of being downloaded
right now.
But yeah, video games, definitely. We love video games. We're big nerds in that sense.
I'm a huge like action figure and toy collector. Like, scary, like how much I have. I have a room in my house that is literally just for toys, and that's not a joke. That is like a serious 100%. I have a room. I have a toy room.
I've seen it.
Do you have like any like certain like collections?
Oh, loads. It's not just one. Like, that's the problem. I have this thing where if I buy like one toy and it's part of a series, I'm instantly like, well, I have one of them, I may as well get all 25 of them now. That's the problem with it. But I've got like loads of like different Japanese ones. I've been starting collecting stuff for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure recently because I got into reading that. Gurren Lagann, which is another like anime about big robots. Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is another anime about big robots. Just anything with a robot in it, pretty much.
Yeah.
Big Hero 6. Yeah. It's bad.
West, yeah, that's all West. I don't mind the odd toy collection, but I don't feel the need to collect like a full set of things. If I just see something that I like, I tend to get it. But
Can't do it.
I'd say that my hobbies outside of music, I'm quite a avid tattoo collector. Like, I want to have, you know, as many tattoos as I can get from as many of like the artists that I look up to as I can. I'm doing pretty well at the minute. I've got like my chest, both arms, and one leg, and working on the other one. And yeah, I collect tattoos, and I'd say I'm quite into my like fashion and that sort of stuff too. I like vintage band tees and my thing at the minute, which unfortunately is not very good for my wallet because the price is going up on those things. So that's a lot. I have fun doing that. And I've got like I've always had like an interest in skateboarding. I've grown up with it around my life. I'm not the best skater in the world, but I try and keep up to date with what's happening in the world of skateboarding and keep up to date with that too.
I saw on Instagram, do you also like surf?
I have tried my hand at surfing quite a lot, yeah. Basically my my girlfriend's dad is like a big surfer, and the area in the UK where everyone surfs is called Cornwall, and it's actually you can get some decent waves down there, man. Like last time I was down there, I suck, by the way. Like a 1 foot wave for me is like perfect. Anything more than that, 2 to 3 foot, you put but we were down there and it was like 5-6 foot waves, and I was getting absolutely smashed about. But
Pity, dude.
yeah, I was getting pity, getting nerd. But like, yeah, I've tried my hand at pretty much every extreme sport there is. I rode bikes for years because North Wales is sick for mountain biking, BMXing, skateboarding, rollerblading, surfing, snowboarding, skiing. I've pretty much tried it all, and I'm okay at some of them. Most of them, I can pick them up pretty quick. But yeah. I'm a bit of I'm not as much as I used to be. I've definitely started developing some sense when it comes to like danger and things that could potentially hurt me. I for sure never used to have a fear of that, and now I'm a little bit older. I'm a bit more cautious. And then the other thing that's probably worth mentioning is like I'm a huge football fan, soccer fan. My team is Manchester United. Always has been, always will, and yeah, that's a huge obsession for me. Every morning I'll wake up and it's almost like just an immediate reaction. I've got the bookmark saved on my Safari on my phone. Just open it, it's just Manchester United news, and I'll just be scrolling, just like what's happening, what's going on, and yeah, so I'm a huge football fan too.
All right, so let's talk a bit about the Peace and the Panic. For people that missed my first interview with Ben, we talked a bit about the production, songwriting. I'll leave all the info in later in the show, as well as whatever this is posted on, so on YouTube or the studio's website, so make sure to check that out. But let's talk about the implementation of all the new songs to the stage. Because you guys put a whole show on, especially when I saw you back in summer during the first U.S. tour for the Peace and the Panic.
Yeah, I think what we tried to do with this one first time around is we've always struggled to throw a lot of new songs into a live set straight away, and then we always leave it too long and people don't want to hear them live. It's something that I've not don't want to hear them, but like I don't know, we've never like quite struck the right balance, and I think that we thought about it a lot more this time and consciously made an effort to be like, we are going to put this set full of songs from the Peace and the Panic, and you're going to have to listen to them. Like
too bad.
Yeah, but it worked. Like it worked well. It's like we've seen other bands do it before, and we were always kind of like, oh, we got to play some of the old stuff. And it's like, well, we don't have to.
Yeah.
We don't have to.
With the set we're playing now, it's a little bit more varied, only for the sake of changing it up for people who have seen us before. But really, like the way that things transfer live, like we're always writing with a live show in mind. Sometimes we write songs that are like come from an emotional place, and it's more for people to kind of listen to and absorb. But our live show is one of the big aspects of our band. Like it's a super physical show in terms of like we're not a band that will just stand there and just play the songs and move off. Like we'll give it as much as we can, and we'll move about as much as we can, and try and get the crowd involved as much as we can. And so, yeah, a lot of those songs have translated really well from the Peace and the Panic to a live scenario. Like Motion Sickness and Where Do We Go are both super energetic songs that work really well live. But then, like I was saying, we don't just stand there and play. But songs like In Bloom, maybe a slightly more down-tempo song, but still one of our best songs we've ever written, works amazingly, and that's like a huge moment live.
And you even brought in Sax Rose, that's how you say it?
Saxel Rose. Yeah, our boy Tony, he's from Baltimore. He's like, I think it was Danny that found him, and he's pretty much like a session sax player. Like I think he's played with Paramore live as well. And he's just an insanely talented musician, man, and he's a fan of the band, and he'd uploaded a cover of In Bloom on sax, and we were just like, yeah, let's get him on stage with us and play. And then from there we were like, we should record this, get it done and put it down just as like this alternate version. And that was a lot of fun, man. That was really cool that he did that. And I don't know about you, but when we play it live now, I'm always hearing the little sax, like the little sax runs that he does.
I say we should put it on the song.
I think we should as well live. I think we should. That's what we should be doing. It should be like, I think he's gonna come out. I think he's coming out tomorrow to play it with us. Yeah. But I would just have it on there all the time. It's sick.
We should just ask the crowd every night, sax or no sax?
Yeah, the sax. Oh yeah, that'd be sick.
On this record, what do you think are maybe some small production details or just parts of songs that people may underlook?
Ooh. I'm not sure. I don't know. It depends how people listen to music, because like I'm of the mind where, and it's probably just because I've been around like music production for the last like 10 years maybe. Like my brother's been, very very involved, and he produces music and records bands and stuff. So I'm quite thorough when I listen to music. I'll listen to the vocals first, and then I'll start picking out each individual layer and all the little add-ons and all the bells and whistles that go along with it. But yeah, maybe that's just something that people don't do. Like the vocal is the low hanging fruit. It's what 90% of music listeners will just go straight for the vocal, and they won't really stray too far away from like what else makes that song great. So yeah, I feel like, if you're just an average music listener and you just listen to music and you just listen to the vocals pretty much, and the rest kind of just accompanies that subconsciously, take the time to like block out the vocal for a minute, listen to the drums, listen to the guitars, listen to the bass, listen to listen to any extra little layers that we have in there, because that makes a song come to life. Like one of my favorite parts on the record is in Bloom, on that big last like crescendo on the all in bloom, like this huge harmony. And that's the thing, there's this harmony that goes underneath it, which I remember was so up there for me, and I was in the studio like screaming it. And then also there's this little bass run that goes along with it, like do 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 do. And I think it's those subconscious things that go into making a song, which can make a song great. Like there's so many, like that's what I love listening to music, is like little subconscious layers and little subconscious things that are going on that contribute to a song being great. Like I always listen to those. So yeah, maybe if you listen to music on a pretty basic level, try and expand it, and that'll probably make you a better songwriter too.
Since we're kind of like running out of time, I'm going to ask some lyrical questions for you. Maybe just give kind of an overview of where those lyrics came from, like what inspired you to write them, and maybe the idea behind them.
Cool.
So the first one's off of Parachute, and it goes, "We don't need a God to take a leap of faith. Listen when I say that if we don't try, then we won't believe."
Yeah. So I think that line, "if we don't try, then we won't believe," was kind of like the hook point for the song, really, in terms of like that was my favorite line, and kind of like the overwhelming kind of message throughout the song is, you got to try, you have to at least try, or or you'll never know. And I don't know, like I wouldn't say I'm a atheist or even particularly religious. I wouldn't say I'm anything. I'm kind of whatever, but like, yeah, you don't need to put your faith in some deity to have some self-belief, and taking a leap of faith can just be a leap of faith in yourself, kind of thing. So yeah, you don't need a God to take a leap of faith. Like you don't need to believe in something to have faith. Like you can have a lot of faith in yourself, and then try it, and then see whether or not it's good for you or not, or what it's going to do for you. So.
The other line that I picked out was off the song "Don't Stay," and it goes, "Yeah, what if God was the beggar in disguise? Would it make any difference? Would you open your eyes?"
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because what if God was the beggar in disguise is kind of like this. It's kind of like this thing about like what if. It's kind of like this comment on like how people treat each other, And I'm not like going, I'm not making it my mission to like. Be this like, charitable fucking person. Like I'm trying to be as charitable as I can. I try and to support as many good causes as I can, and I always, feel terrible about, not helping the homeless and stuff like that. But it's not necessarily just to focus on the homeless, and that's another big issue, which is like really hitting the UK hard at the minute. The level of homelessness is going up and up and up, and it's sad to see, and especially when you watch stuff and research things about the homeless, like it makes you really think about how lucky you are. But more so back to the lyrical point of view, it's like, what if God was a beggar in disguise? So what if that person that you just ignored, or that person that you just walked past, was God? What if he had something to give you that was so unbelievably, just life changing, but you just walked past him. So it's kind of like this comment on how that's meant to make people think about how they treat each other. Basically treat everyone as if they've got God within them, kind of thing. So what if God was the beggar in disguise? Would it make any difference? Would it open your eyes? So yeah. What if you just walk past God on the street begging right there, and you just didn't do a single thing, and yeah, that would come back to bite you. I think if some deity revealed himself as a beggar on the street, I think people would freak out, and I think they would seriously evaluate how they've been living their lives.
Well, I want to thank you for talking to me for a bit about the tour life, a little bit more about the Peace and Panic. Wish you luck for tonight's show and the rest of the tour. How about you guys just share where people can keep up to date with you and find your music?
Facebook, Neck Deep. Instagram,
Neck Deep UK.
I was Neck Deep UK on everything basically.
Yeah, Neck Deep UK on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We also have a website, neckdeepuk.com, and that's where you can keep up to date with like tour dates and stuff like that. And you can find links to buy tickets there if you like can't find it straight up on any of our social platforms. But on all social platforms, Neck Deep UK. We're also on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, stay tuned for the rest of the show.